Holy cats, we're back. And you know what? This is our 27th episode.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yep.
I mean,
also pretty awesome because we started with Detective 27.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to, like, instead of, like, celebrating at 25, fives and zeros, let's start with, do the celebration with 27, at least this one.
Yeah, why not?
It's a very special number for Batman.
We can do a 39 also.
What's 39 significant for? The year?
The year, yeah.
I guess so. I don't know. I mean, I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Become a Bat. I am your host, Tom.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to be doing Detective Comics number 58, one of the most perfect frame-ups, and the third story in Batman number 7, The Trouble Trap. And Trouble Trap is a pretty significant one, I say. We'll get to that one. Why? It doesn't seem like it from the. One of the most perfect frame-ups is a significant one. We'll start with Batman number 7, which is a so-so story.
You still wouldn't be able to tell what the story's about from the title.
Yeah, I don't think you can do with either of them. They're both kind of generic.
They're a little misleading.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's start with the episode. Oh.
Try that again. Yeah.
I don't even know if we're allowed to use that.
No one's going to say. I mean, if someone says something, we can just stop using it.
Yeah, I guess so. All right. So, this is Batman number 7, story number 3, The Troubled Trap. Art by Bob Kane, Jerry Robinson, and George Russos. Written by Bill Finger. And you notated that the cover artists were... I don't know if we covered this before, but the cover artists, Fred Ray and Bob Kane. That's a new name, Fred Ray.
Yeah, we didn't cover it, but I did look him up, and he does do a more cartoony art style. So I think all those cartoony covers, and I say cartoony like it's not a comic book, but like, you know what I mean? The more basic art with like more traditional look
rounder.
To it. Yeah, like Dick Tracy looking.
Yeah.
That would be the Fred Ray right there.
Less realistic per se. Not concerned with photorealism. But.
Yeah. Not that Bob Kane's a very realistic artist either, but they have very distinctly different styles.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right,
splash page.
Yeah, let's do the splash page.
This is kind of a cool splash page too, because it's the Swami from the story looking into a crystal ball. Like watching Batman and Robin. Just I can't even tell really what they're doing, but they're like toiling against something, and he's probably like, yes.
They're just kind of running.
Yep. And then the bottom corner panel is so cool. The little, like, the actual first panel of the issue that they put on the splash page, it's all done in silhouette, and it's Batman and Robin scaling a telephone pole while there's, like, thugs on the ground running about, and the telephone poles are, like, casting shadows on the ground. Super cool.
All right. You want to read this one?
I do.
All right.
Once again, the mighty Batman and his laughing young aide Robin... Notice it doesn't say Robin the Boy Wonder. Go forth on a chance trail and cross the path of a master criminal. Out of a strange medley of adventures, the Batman and Robin find the proof of an ugly and vicious racket that involves innocent men and women. With their usual disregard of danger to themselves, the dynamic duo ferrets out this evil crime master and brings an end to this strange tale of the Troubled Trap.
They're saying ferrets again.
Yeah. This is only the second one where they haven't said Robin the Boy Wonder. They always say the Boy Wonder afterwards.
Yeah, and then we just got used to finally saying Robin the Boy Wonder.
Yeah, I know. Now I feel like I have to say it.
Yeah. All right, let's begin with the synopsis. A man runs down the street and is shot in the back. The dynamic duo jump in and punch out the killers when they are grabbed by 2 large Indian men. Batman manages to break free, throws a glass... there's that tongue twister. He throws a glass gas pellet and saves Robin. The men escape in a truck while Batman and Robin recover. Batman inspects the dead man's body and finds out he was a man named Henry Abbott, and on him was a bank slip indicating that he had just withdrawn a lot of money from the bank. So the next day, Bruce goes and visits his old friend Carl, who just happens to be visited by one of the killers from last night. Carl nervously shoos the guy out. Bruce asks who he was, but Carl's evasive. Bruce Wayne goes home, but Carl gets another visitor that night in the form of the Batman. Batman spies Carl making some sort of shady deal with that killer guy. Carl is demanding some sort of record from the killer. Batman shadows the killer and follows him to another house where he visits a Swami, which I haven't looked into like the history of the Swami. I'm just gonna from now on the rest of the issue calls him a mystic.
You can just call him that.
Yeah, that feels less. I don't know if there's a racial.
I'm sure
thing to
there's
it.
something to it like that.
Yeah.
I remember that being brought up when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's not something you really hear, but being used much anymore.
But that is what they call him in the comic book. So
Yeah, but they also call him Mystic, so I'm just gonna go with Mystic.
Yeah.
So Batman ponders what connects them all. Batman returns to Carl and confronts him about the money that he gave the killer and what he has to do with the Mystic. Carl tells Batman that he's being blackmailed. The Mystic hypnotized Carl into telling him an embarrassing college story and had it recorded onto a record. Batman figures that the Mystic has probably been running this whole blackmail ring. So Batman calls Commissioner Gordon and lets him know about the blackmail racket. The next day, Gordon brings the cops and has them search through the Mystic's house for evidence of blackmail. But they can't find anything. Could Batman have been wrong? No, of course not. So the next day, some guy walks into the Mystic's clinic and tells him Batman's been getting in his way and he wants some information on the guy. The Mystic promises to get him some info in a couple days. Well, the guy leaves and he pulls off some makeup revealing that he's actually Batman himself. He overhears that the Mystic is plotting with another goon to kidnap Linda Page. The goon finds and kidnaps Linda Page when Batman and Robin pop up and beat the hell out of him. Batman asks Linda to play along, and he makes himself look like that goon, and he delivers Linda to the Mystic. Robin calls up Gordon and tells him to get over to the Mystic as he's kidnapped Linda Page. Batman arrives at the Mystic's place and is waiting for Gordon. Gordon and some cops rush over the place when they get into a head-on collision with another car. Really unfortunate timing.
yeah, pretty brutal looking collision too.
Like it kind of confused me at first because I'm like, did they send a car to hit him? But it's just like a coincidence, just the worst luck.
Yeah.
But thankfully, everybody seems to be okay, which is a miracle considering those cars that had like zero safety standards.
Yeah, for sure. I thought Gordon was going to be like hospitalized or something.
Yeah, back in those days, like a collision was basically instant death.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Mystic goes on to stab Linda. The Mystic is about to stab Linda to death when the lights go out. The lights return, and Batman is in Linda's place. The Mystic presses a button, and suddenly, one of the Indian men from earlier shows up with a sword. He catches Batman by surprise, and before he swings, Robin swoops in and kicks him in the chin. Batman and Robin use teamwork and knock him out. Then that's when the Mystic and the killer show up with their guns drawn. A shot rings out, and the killer falls over dead. Gordon arrived just in time. The Mystic jumps out the window, and he gets into a car. Batman and Robin chase him through the ends of town. A drawbridge is closing up open. That's a weird way. The drawbridge is
going
like
up.
going up, and Batman makes a daring jump over, and he catches the Mystic. He hands him over to the police. Gordon thanks Batman and Robin for doing their civic duty. The end.
I like that final scene where they're like flooring it, and he's like, "The drawbridge is going up.
Yeah, it's very Dukes
Hunker
of
down,
Hazzard.
boy." He's just like
Yeah.
floors it. It also kind of reminded me of All-Star Batman and Robin. And then he like flies over the bridge, lands it, and then jumps out of the moving car in through the other window into the other car.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, Batman's ballsy.
Yeah. Overall, though, this kind of is an okay story.
Yeah,
I don't think they could all be winners, but yeah, you know, it's all right. Like, I do think it's pretty significant that they finally like gained Gordon's trust.
mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you got? What do you got with this one?
I kind of feel the same way about you. I thought this was pretty run of the mill. It was a lot like other run of the mill Batman stories that we've already read. You know, like villain of the week type thing. One note villain who wants to blackmail people with their secrets, and a one note villain who has giants for thugs.
Yeah.
You know, how many times have we seen giants already?
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we seen somebody with some weird device or some weird way of blackmailing people?
Yeah.
So it was still a fun read. And if this was the first time we'd read a story like that, probably would have liked it more.
Mhm.
But this is like the 4th or 5th time so far that we're seeing the same story elements recycled. So not bad, but also not great. But can't get over that scene with the car. That was pretty cool.
I wonder what Carl's embarrassing color story was.
I feel like he slowly starts to get into it a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, it's got to be
But-
some like. It doesn't seem like it would be something that crazy to like want to hire killers over,
Yeah.
or I mean worth hiring a killer to do this blackmail ring thing. I don't know.
I feel like it's got to be something pretty bad because, like, some of the stuff that people do nowadays or did like 10 years ago that they're being blackmailed for or like canceled for is already pretty bad. And people didn't even think there was anything wrong with that stuff back then.
I guess, but I mean, it's not like he was injecting somebody with a lot of drugs and making them the ugliest man in the world.
maybe that was him.
No. He
No, I know.
Yeah.
He could have done something like that though. Maybe he tried to do that and then the guy just died.
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe he did kill somebody in a weird hazing incident, and they just never got their revenge.
Yeah.
Ugliest Man in the World. That was an excellent issue. Listen to that one if you haven't yet. That's a fun one.
What we need to do is like find a way to put together like a greatest hits, like all of our favorite stories somehow into like a digital collection so that we can access them all at once.
It's a neat idea. We
Yeah.
don't really have the rights to Batman, but
No, I mean, I wish we could just
Yeah.
publish a volume of like our favorite stories, but like it would be nice to be able to just keep them all together somehow together.
yeah, we'll definitely have to make like a list, like a reading order, like some kind of our approved issues.
We could at least do that.
Yeah.
Put together like a reading list of like all of our favorite issues that we've read so far within like the first year.
It's only gonna be like like 7 more years until Batman's in the public domain.
Yeah.
At least like the first year's worth. So hey, if anything, if you want, you'll be able to like completely do your own like redraw of Detective Comics.
If they even let that happen, though.
No, they will be able to, because you know about the Winnie the Pooh movie coming out, right?
What about it?
Well, there's a Winnie the Pooh entered the public domain this year.
Mm.
There's a Winnie the Pooh horror movie coming out.
Oh, like a legitimate one, not like that fake trailer one?
No, like a legitimate one is coming out in theaters. I think like
Nice.
the next month or something. Like, it's not done by Disney. Disney's not affiliated with at all. But like,
Yeah.
he's in the public domain. It's like making like a Sherlock Holmes movie.
Yeah.
At least the public domain Sherlock Holmes, or
Hey, if
something else public domain.
if this actually becomes public domain, like these first years or so,
Yeah.
that's the time for us to do our audio drama. That's the time for
Yeah.
us to make our greatest hits collection.
I think the way it's gonna work is basically anything, like it'll go year by year. So all the elements of Batman that are within that like first year of Detective Comics and Detective Comics in 1939,
Yeah.
we'll be able to do that. So like we won't be able to do like Nightwing or for whatever.
No, but we can do the case of the Chemical Syndicate.
Yeah, we'll be able to do that. Joker will go in there, but like it'll also still be kind of complicated because it can't have elements from things that happen later. So even if like Bruce Wayne, so
no Gotham, no Batarangs,
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff.
yeah, Glass Files will be able to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like Sherlock Holmes is in a weird spot
Mm-hmm.
because like you know how like he did Sherlock Holmes in like late 1880s or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he revived him in like 1910 or sometime later. I mean, it's British, so like the copyright laws are different. But so when that Enola Holmes movie came out with Sherlock Holmes' little sister,
Mm-hmm.
and then so the Doyle estate sued Netflix over that movie because they said it infringed on things that were part of the copyrighted stuff. And one of the things they cited was that Sherlock Holmes was nice to women. So like he had feelings, while like the stuff from before he got revived, he's like more cold. So any like potential Batman, Bat hyphen man, I guess.
The Bat hyphen man.
The Bat hyphen man.
He's got to be cold, unfeeling.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be interesting. That's for sure. So you have any final? Oh wait, we got panels.
Yeah, we got
Wow,
panels.
I'm
Let's get into
getting
these
way
panels.
ahead of myself. All right, so I like this first one that I chose. I don't know if
they're
you
just
saw-
like, huh?
yeah, I like their confused reactions when they're like
As they're being strangled
they're
by
about to be
giants.
strangled. Yeah.
Are about to be strangled by giants. Yeah. We picked like all the same panels for this one. I didn't even put anything in because you literally picked all the same ones that I did.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't that many, but
Yeah, it's a short story.
You next one you got is a sequential action sequence.
Yeah, I mostly did that
Action
one back
piece.
because it's been a while since Batman used the glass files.
Yeah, that's right. And I like that in this one you can see him like fingering it out of his belt too. It's not like he
Mhm.
just has it in his hand and he's throwing it. He's
Yeah.
like reaching for it and pulling it out of one of those little like capsule holsters and then throwing it.
Yeah.
And
And
also I love that punch in the end.
that punch, that teamwork with Robin, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And then
Robin sweeps the leg, Batman does like a flying uppercut into the guy's face.
Yep. And then I liked this little interaction between Bruce and Dick because it's just like you almost forget that Dick is like a kid.
I know. I
Yeah.
loved it too.
Yeah.
I screen capped it and I was like, man, they need to do like a Bruce and Dick series. That's the in betweens when they're not fighting crime.
Yeah.
When Dick's just being a little piece of crap because he can be that way, you know,
He
even when
can.
he's Robin.
Yeah. So basically Dick's saying, "Can I go out and play for a while?" And then Bruce says, "Not until you finish your homework." And then, Dick he's like grumbling about the homework, and then
Homework.
Bruce is just walking out the door going, "So long now."
Yeah.
Just the tip in his fedora.
Like, what does he do when he goes out and plays, anyways?
I don't know. Like I don't really think he's got too many friends.
Maybe he's still friends with those kids from the boys' home.
But he had to put on a different persona.
True, but maybe that's
Yeah.
what he does. He just goes out and pretends to be that kid.
Maybe.
You never know.
This one I knew you would
Oh,
pick
yeah,
too.
I definitely picked this one. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Yep. You want to describe this one?
Yeah, it's just Batman opening these two really huge wooden doors from the outside, and he's completely silhouetted. So all you see is like his ears and then his eyes, and then just blackness, and then his fingers wrapped around the edges of the door as he's forcing it open. It's really cool. It's very evocative, very
Yeah.
dark and moody feeling.
Yeah, like going back to that older style Batman.
Yeah, they call him a blotted shape.
Yeah, I like that. Like he's just like it's like almost 90-degree angles between like his cowl and the his shoulders,
Yeah.
like with the silhouette. Oh, it's cool.
It's very well done.
It actually really reminds me of the Lynn Varley, not Lynn Varley, excuse me. Well, I mean the whatever issue that like edition of Dark Knight Returns I have
Mm-hmm.
is a hardcover one. Chip Kidd, he didn't do the art, but he did like the graphic design for it, and it's
Right.
like very distinctive. And it's just basically like Batman's cowl, just like all dark like that. I don't know why the
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah
Yeah.
reminds me of
I can
that.
see that too. It also kind of reminded me of the cover to the first printing of Batman Year One in trade paperback, where it's the same thing, just his cowl all dark and black and his eyes showing.
Yeah. And then this last one's pretty simple. I just chose it just because like we have Batman and Jim Gordon shaking hands,
Mm-hmm.
and they are finally like establishing that Batman and the police are like friends, allies.
Yeah, they kind of do this in both issues, right? But I think
Yeah.
this is the first time that we see. I could be wrong because we'd have to look at the dates exactly.
Yeah.
But I think this is the first time we see Jim Gordon working with Batman and Robin, and they're already friends and they're communicating about the crime case.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny how that worked out. Like, there's always like a little theme between like the two issues we do,
Yeah.
and this is like the one that connects them. And we will find out how they connect after the break. And the break time is over, and
And we're back.
we are back. Holy cats!
Yeah.
This issue was really good, and we finally get the long-awaited introduction of one of the most classic Batman villains,
Yes, we do. The Penguin.
the Penguin. Ah!
The Penguin.
Yes.
I wish I could say it a lot of other really terrible ways, but I can't. I'm not that good at mispronouncing penguin.
There really isn't many ways to mispronounce it.
You'd be surprised if you
Huh.
listen to those recordings of Benedict Cumberbatch butchering the word penguin.
Really? I got to hear
Yeah.
that.
Man,
Why was he talking about penguins?
Because he did a voiceover for a March of the Penguins documentary.
In the UK?
I guess.
I know sometimes when they do those do documentaries, they'll have like a different person voice, do narration. But who did the US version? It was Morgan Freeman.
Probably.
Oh, okay.
But it's
I d-
cringy. It's
I
really
didn't-
cringy.
Okay, that's weird because I didn't know he. Maybe it's a different documentary because I know that came out like 2006, and he wasn't really a name back then.
Yeah, it might be a different one, but either way,
Yeah.
he just like butchers the word penguin over and over and over.
Penguins. Crested penguins. Parent penguin heading ho penguins.
All right, so we're on to Detective Comics number 57. One of the
No,
most...
58.
Oh, 58. I just read it and said the wrong number. Detective Comics number 58. One of the most perfect frame-ups. Art by Bob Kane, Jerry Robinson, and George Russos. Written by Bill Finger. And, yet again, cover artists Fred Ray and Bob Kane. So I think Fred Ray is going to be doing covers for a little while until we get into another cover artist. But I like this cover.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is nice, like contrast between like the last couple covers.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of Batman and Robin in front of just like a void or like a weird like pattern.
Yeah.
This is like very striking.
It is. And I like that it kind of covers up the banner a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's not behind the banner, it's in front of the banner. It's covering up the word comics.
Yeah, they're playing around with the medium.
Yeah. It also kind of like puts it fairly like in the foreground, right?
Mhm.
It makes the cover feel more three-dimensional, like the boat is popping out at you.
Yeah.
And then I also just I like the little elements here, like Batman's foot trailing behind in the water. It's not a very tall boat, you know, and then like Robin falling off. And then it looks like Batman's trying to save him. And then you've got this like thug with a monkey wrench. He's about to smash Robin's head open with a monkey wrench. While
Yeah.
this other guy has a Tommy gun that it looks like he's pointing out that bald thug, but he could be pointing it at Robin, I guess.
I think I'm guessing it's the water. Maybe he's just like lost his balance and he's just trying to regain it.
Yeah, maybe.
That's my guess.
It's an interesting cover, though.
Yeah. And then we have the wait. Oh, I didn't put down what month this came out. Well, it says it's the December 1941 issue.
Yeah.
So we are just about done with 1941.
Well, this time you get to describe the splash page and
Yes.
read the little blurb.
All right. So this splash page is kind of a little more whimsical one, if anything. It's like outside of in a city, just like a city block. There's the Penguin standing there, and he's like he's standing in front of this giant penguin statue, I'm guessing,
Mm-hmm.
and penguin like they like to draw him standing at this like little angle. I love it. Like a
they're
penguin.
trying to make him look like a penguin.
Yeah.
More, yeah.
He's like got that cigarette in his mouth, in the holder, in the iconic holder. He's holding two rich people at gunpoint while like swiping one of them their necklaces. Robin is swooping in on a rope, and Batman is just watching up ahead, on a building.
Yeah, like how Batman's perched up there, like, you got this.
Yep. And again, they're getting more creative with like instead of just putting like the text of the splash, like whatever they're calling it, like in his own little like square. I mean, it's still effectively a square, but like they're putting it within the environment. It's within like the side of the building here.
I thought that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, and it's like written kind of at an angle too. Like it's dialogue at a Dutch angle, so that's gonna make it harder to read.
It's gonna be a tough one.
All right, let me get a drink here. Deep breath. Crossing the path of the Batman, most feared of all crime fighters, waddles the strange, almost ludicrous figure of the Penguin, the Umbrella Man. The jovial face of the Penguin seems to radiate goodwill towards all men, but behind that smiling mask lurks an evil mind. Read how Batman and Robin were plunged into one of the strangest adventures and one of the most perfect frame-ups of all time.
You did it
I did it!
without tripping up even once.
Yeah, I'm actually really shocked.
That one actually doesn't have as much like weird verbiage though.
Yeah.
So that was good. And it also doesn't say the Boy Wonder.
It didn't, yeah. Maybe they're just like, okay, we all know who Robin is.
All right.
I should have thought to do that earlier.
Yeah, you should have.
Okay, let's get on with the synopsis.
There we go. All right. Bruce and Dick are visiting an art museum so that Bruce can teach the young boy about subjectivity. Dick makes some rude comments about a couple of sculptures. he inadvertently says that the artist needs a few more lessons, right to their face without even realizing it. Bruce then shows him the Waitrose, two small paintings that are together worth over $500,000. Dick jokes about taking up painting, and then they start heading for the exit. On the way out, they walk past a strange man shaped like a penguin, admiring a sculpture of a penguin. They chuckle about it, but their laughter is cut short by a security guard, who informs them that the Waitrose were just stolen from their frames. Everyone in the museum must submit to a search before they can leave. After searching everybody there, the museum proprietor was left empty-handed and out $500,000. Later that night, in a hotel owned and operated by the biggest racketeers in the city, the mysterious Penguin Man waddles in and reveals that he, in fact, stole the Waitrose, and that he concealed the canvases by rolling them up and shoving them into the hollow handle of his umbrella. The group of racketeers, who collectively call themselves the Boss, let the Penguin into their mob, and before long, Penguin is running things his way. Gotham City experiences a new crime wave. A few weeks after the museum incident, Bruce Wayne is at an auction house to watch the bidding war on a giant diamond when Penguin comes waddling into the room and squeezes by him. Mid-squeeze, the power goes out, and loud struggle noises are heard. When the lights come back on, the diamond is gone. It has been stolen. Bruce Wayne finds himself on the floor with the Penguin, who in a panic tripped and fell onto Bruce. Penguin apologizes and is escorted out by the staff, who profusely apologize to him for the incident. Bruce starts to become suspicious. Not long after the auction, though, Penguin arrives back at Boss HQ, where he demands his usual share of the profits. One of the higher-ups takes the diamond from him by force and tries to take him down a notch, but Penguin shoots him with the hidden gun built into his umbrella. The man goes down, and Penguin takes the diamond back. Then he points the gun at the other members of the mob and tells them that he's their new boss, and everybody complies. That night, the Penguin's henchmen discuss their plans to rob the auction house again at a waterfront dive. Bruce is in the background slumming it, or so he calls it, pretending to be a drunk sailor. Once he gets the info he needs, he heads back home to change into Batman. As Batman makes his way to the auction house and scales the building, staring through the skylight, he is able to see Penguin's men trying to burn their way into a vault with an acetylene torch. The Batman descends from the roof onto the men below. A fight ensues, and one of the men tries to use the torch on Batman, but ends up getting his friend in the chest instead. Although it kind of looks like he almost gets him in the face for a second.
Yeah, either way, that is brutal.
Yeah. Batman then grabs a painting off the wall and smashes it over the two thugs' heads. He takes a moment to step back and admire his handiwork, and then renders them both unconscious with one well-placed punch to both of their faces. Suddenly, the Penguin appears in the doorway. He chastises Batman, and then the caped Crusader rushes him. Before Batman can land a punch on the Penguin, though, he disperses some choking gas from his umbrella, incapacitating him. Then he goes about helping his thugs out of the painting and waking them up. They finish what they came to do. They steal the jade idol, and then they escape. Penguin smashes the fire alarm on the way out, knowing full well that they will send the police, and that when they find Batman unconscious on the floor, things will not go well. After a few minutes, the police arrive and find Batman on the floor. They lift him up and bring him into an office of a Mr. Bonyface.
Mr. Bonyface.
Bonyface. So that he can explain to the man what happened to the jade idol. Batman is still dazed, but once Mr. Bonyface enters the room, he knows that he has been set up. Bonyface is none other than Penguin. He then proceeds to blame the whole thing on Batman and demands that the police investigate and press charges. So they take our hero away, lock him up, and drive him to the station. As soon as the police vehicle leaves the house, Penguin's men follow in a black sports car. When the opportunity presents itself, the thugs ram the police vehicle, knocking it onto its side, and then they pull Batman out and pounce on him in an attempt to subdue him. They finally manage to do it, and then they take him back to face the Penguin. The Dark Knight is bound to a chair. He listens to Penguin spill his guts about his scheme, and all the while, Batman uses a device built into his boot to send a Morse code message to Robin. The Boy Wonder responds quickly and shows up at Batman's location to save him. He springs into action as soon as he arrives. He rings the doorbell, and when a thug answers, he bursts through the door and decks the guy in the face. He then springs up onto a dinner table filled with food and drink and proceeds to knock it all over the ground, breaking it into sharp pieces. He turns to Batman and makes a remark about being careful not to cut himself. The Caped Crusader knocks his chair over onto the ground, and rolls around until he's able to get a hold of a piece of plate or glass to cut himself free. As Batman springs back to his feet from his constraints, some of Penguin's thugs manage to subdue Robin. Batman dashes over to his rescue and knocks one of their teeth out while Robin manages to find the other one. manages. Wait, what? I have no. Oh, flip. While Robin manages to flip the other one head over heels. Like, he basically is being choked out from behind. He grabs the guy and, like, bends forward and throws the guy to the ground. But you see it in the panel, like, mid-action, so it's cool.
That was a very impressive
Maneuver. Feat of strength, yeah. Sensing a losing battle, Penguin draws his gun umbrella on the dynamic duo, forcing them into a corner where they have to jump out a window to escape. Penguin calls the police, who arrive quickly, but not fast enough to be able to apprehend Batman. He is now a wanted man. Although I guess he was a wanted man before this. Weird.
Well, he lost his, like, cop privilege, I guess.
Yeah. Whatever, he gets it back.
Yeah.
The Penguin flees to the heart of the Bowery, where flop houses rub shoulders with stately buildings. I like that. I stole that from the comic. I like how they rub shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
That house untold wealth. It turns out that he is renting a room there, and that he and his men are tunneling through that room into a diamond vault on the other side. Luckily, Batman and Robin have been perched outside disguised as a couple of blind beggars, so they see Penguin and his men enter the building. They quickly tear off their disguises and reveal their crime-fighting garbs. They scale the building next to the one that Penguin is staying in, find a window with a clear view of the dastardly criminal, and break in. The dynamic duo burst through the window and ping-pong a trio of thugs back and forth with well-timed punches. Penguin tries to take advantage of the chaos and releases a stream of deadly acid from his umbrella, which misses the dynamic duo and instead melts the face off of one of his thugs.
Boiling acid!
Out of further options, Penguin tucks tail and runs off with the jewels. The crime fighters pursue him. Batman tackles Penguin onto the nearby railroad tracks. There is an oncoming train only seconds away. Penguin jumps up at the last second and catches the train, managing to escape at the last second. I think I said last second twice right there.
Yeah,
Whatever. While Batman is seemingly run over and killed. Once the train passes, we see that Batman is still very much alive. He tells Robin that he just laid very flat and tried not to breathe. The duo then head to police headquarters and fill in Gordon on all of the details of the case. Gordon admits to being suspicious of them, but knowing that deep down they could never be guilty of a crime. The end. Sure, Gordon.
Yeah. Yep. So, first appearance of the Penguin.
Yep.
What did you think?
It first of all, the acid spraying out of the umbrella thing, that became like a Joker staple later on. And it spraying acid at people is like a recurring Batman villain thing anyways. Like they do it with Two-Face too, Sal Maroni and all that. So it's cool to see that. Why don't you get into your thoughts? I got my thoughts really structured here.
So I really loved the first appearance of the Penguin. This is my first time reading his first appearance. I think it's not really an origin story. It's just like his first appearance, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty amazing how many of his like traits were like established here and they continue on throughout the years. I was expecting him to get arrested at the end.
Yeah.
And was surprised that he managed to escape. They must have known at this point, like this is guy, we got something going here.
Yeah, they were like, we got the Joker. We got to have more recurring villains like that. Let's make a villain that actually doesn't die.
Yeah.
And we know he's coming back.
And he's got a fun design.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they said his actual name yet. Like, there's no Oswald Cobblepot mentioned. So
that's further later on.
That'll be later on. But so that's pretty much that with the Penguin. And yeah, we're at a point where like it's established Batman and Gordon are like openly friends. They're like friendly with each other.
Yeah.
The cops are no longer trying to arrest Batman on sight unless they actually suspect him of doing something, which he got framed.
Right.
Yeah. Well, like it was funny because like I was reading the issue. I'm like, okay, Penguin shoots somebody with the umbrella gun. So he's got it could kill people.
Hey, yeah, it's a gun.
Yeah. But then like later he like gasses Batman. I'm like, why didn't he just shoot Batman? Get over with. But then I'm like, oh, he's got something grander in mind. He's framing him. So
right.
That was pretty clever. I was like, okay, you beat me, Bill Finger.
This umbrella he's using too has got to be like a multi-purpose umbrella with like some of the ones from the Adam West show, like where he can like ratchet the handle and it has like different things that can come out of it.
Yeah, they're gonna
'Cause you
get
You
wild.
never see him like swap umbrellas.
Yeah, they're gonna get wild with the umbrellas and the whole penguin theme.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? What do you got?
Well, obviously, first appearance of the Penguin, thought it was really good. Just like with the first appearance of the Joker, and I would say even to some degree the first appearance of Batman and Robin, he's the character you expect him to be. There's no evolution that really needs to happen. Like, it will happen anyways as they give him a backstory and stuff and develop him a little more. But he's right out of the gate, he's the Penguin.
Yeah.
Like, in every way that you would expect, which is awesome to see.
If you like in your mind, you think, okay, Penguin, this is it.
Yep.
Like, yep.
Yeah. So, and then if anything, like when I was a kid, like reading comics with Penguin or watching the movies, I was always kind of like, he doesn't really look like a penguin. He's just like a short guy. But they really do tailor his design to look exactly like that penguin statue. Like,
They do.
even with like the shape of his coat and all that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like kind of
was
more
cool.
so in this than they do later on. You kind of like
Yeah.
forget his whole penguin theming later when they kind of try to like they kind of flip flop between making him kind of like a jokey kind of like somebody people overlook as being a threat,
right.
To him,
a real threat.
a real threat, and like a big time crime mob boss.
Yeah.
I always kind of view him as like with the like the Long Halloween, like that movie, excuse me, that book kind of like does like this like not crossover, but it shows how like in Gotham it's controlled by originally the gangsters, and then that movie kind of shows how like the shift between the gangsters, the mobs kind of dying off,
Right.
and the rogues gallery, the
Like
freaks
the
taking
true,
over.
like supervillain type
Yeah.
characters. Yeah.
I always view the Penguin as this middle ground between the two.
He is, because he works in Gotham while the mob is in control, and then he overthrows that control to take control for himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, he fits in both worlds. Like he can pass as just like being just a regular dude, a regular mob boss guy, but also fits right in with the freaks and the weirdos.
Joker is kind of the same way too, though, because he does start off as just like a thug working for other mobs until he has his origin story thing happen, and that's what really turns him into the Joker.
Yeah,
Depending on which version of his origin you're talking about.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. He's got like so many different versions of his origin, and
yeah,
he kind of like sometimes he just appears out of random nowhere.
yeah,
Other times we have him, as the Red Hood, where he's just the low guy gets duped, becomes the Joker. But like he usually works as just like being as he can be like running his own gang. He can be scheming on his own.
yeah,
He's very multifaceted. Where Penguin is more about like he's more about the high society, whether he's in it or wants to be in it.
right. He's always concerned with that, with
Yeah.
his status and his wealth.
Yeah, so he's kind of more of a. Also, you can like if you see him on the street, you like wouldn't necessarily think, like oh he's kind of looks a little weird, but like Joker is a white
Yeah,
clown guy.
Clearly, there's something off about Joker.
Yeah, he's wearing purple. Like it's
Yeah.
like okay, yeah, there's no mistaking the Joker.
No. What else? So yeah, I said first appearance of acid being used as a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was cool to see. I like that in this he's a jokey character who wants to be taken seriously, but it doesn't take much for him to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
The only thing jokey about him is the way he looks and the fact that he uses umbrellas.
Yeah,
Beyond that, he's a serious criminal.
yeah, he
And
uses
he's a criminal mastermind.
yeah in this he uses his appearance to really like fool
Yeah.
everybody, like the police,
Right.
the high society people in the art,
Yeah, the people that run the art exhibit.
and even the gangsters.
Yep. And also, I like how right off the bat, first appearance, he's immediately like, I'm a joke? No, I'm not. I'm your boss. You're going to do what I say.
Yeah, I
Like,
love that.
That's very
turn.
penguin-y.
Yeah. Yeah, Joker kind of does the same thing. Like sometimes they like even recruit him, and he ends up taken over by happenstance. But this one was like seemed like very planned by Joker. I mean, by Penguin.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we get into these panels?
Now let's get into him.
All right. So, the first one we got is Bruce and Dick at the museum, and they're both like we said, they're kind of like thrown off by Penguin's appearance.
Mm-hmm.
They're writing him off as a joke. Dick's laughing, and then even though like you could tell Bruce is like, we shouldn't, but he's still laughing at him too.
Did you notice how in the background where it's showing like the penguin and then like the statue of the penguin, the penguin, the villain, the penguin, his cigarette holder kind of looks like a beak.
Yeah.
You know, like so maybe that's why he has the cigarette holder to add more similarity between himself and the penguin.
That's kind of why I also chose it. Also, just love how Penguin, he stands at a tilt.
Yeah,
And
he's
it's
always
like,
leaning forward.
yeah, it's great. I love it.
The panel right before this, I actually originally had in mind, but then I was like, oh, I'm not going to put that in there. I might have later on because I put all my panels at the end of your panels.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
So the next one, kind of a similar one. I mean, there's still them just walking away, but just I like the art. In
This was the panel that came right before the other
okay,
one right here.
good, yeah, yeah. What did you like about this one?
Oh, I just like that in this first panel, they're walking by the penguin just casually, and then Bruce is like telling Dick that he must learn to not laugh at people because they may be odd looking, because like he's walking by him as they're talking. So like mid conversation, he's like, "You can't make fun of people." Whoa, what is that?
Yeah,
You know. And then like the very next panel, they're both kind of laughing at him. Even though
Yeah.
he just told him not to laugh at people.
yep. Which Penguin, you know what? He kind of deserves to get a win. This one, I think, just a little bit.
I almost picked this panel. Oh, actually, I did pick this panel that you have here too. I just didn't
Yeah,
put it
I
in.
knew we would both enjoy this one too.
Yeah.
It's really cool. You could describe this one. I think you'd get a kick out of that.
Oh, I always love panels like this that are shot from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
And you're just seeing something happen inside of a building as if you're like the viewer outside, like the peeping Tom.
Mm-hmm.
This one's especially cool though because the grout in the bricks is like a purple, and then there's actually light being cast from inside out of the window that's casting itself onto the windowsill, like the outer windowsill. It looks really awesome the way that it's done. And like everything inside is just like this sort of like coral orange color, and it's two thugs like coming at Batman, and he's just like, "Thanks for waving at me, boys. It's a bit hot in here." And then he uppercuts one while slamming his elbow into the other one's face, like simultaneously, and they're just like, "Ugh."
Yeah, and I love that it's like they're behind basically like the bars of the window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks very cool.
Yeah, I know. And then the bars actually cast shadows. Did you notice that too? If you look at the bottom of the windowsill and the side of the windowsill, right where the bars are,
So I couldn't tell if that's just part of the frame or the shadows or not.
it's definitely the bars because they all line up
Okay.
with each one lines up with the bar.
Yeah.
So it's that little attention to small details like that
Yeah.
makes panels like this stand out and not just be some boring panel with Batman inside beating up thugs.
Yeah. The next one I chose is the one where the guy's getting like Batman dodges and the other guy like hits the other one with the acetylene torch.
Oh yeah, I got something to show you.
Oh,
I posted a little comment below that. Do you see my comment?
Let's
see what it says?
the panel is just definitely inspired by the cover of Detective Comics 30. I'll show you. Oh, hey, look at that. Yeah,
Yeah, that cover has always stood out to me because it's a non-Batman centric cover, and I
Mhm.
was always like, how could Batman be in that cover and have it make sense? That's how he could be in the background shying away.
I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's just a coincidence.
I don't know.
I mean, that because it's Detective Comics 30, and it's still before Batman was like the main star of Detective Comics.
He wasn't the main star, but he had already been in the comic books for three.
Yeah,
Three
I mean
issues
they
already,
knew,
so-
but they were still like at that point they were like still pretending. Are we still? They it was before they like realized. Yeah, let's put Batman on every cover.
But this is not the first time that a cover has been recreated in a panel in an issue like
Yeah.
a year later.
Hmm.
They do that sometimes.
Yeah.
you know.
So the next one I chose is really good panel of Batman and Robin beating the hell out of these guys. But the way it's framed is really really interesting.
Is that yours, or are we getting into my panels now? It's kind of hard to tell.
I know I think we both chose.
We both picked both of these. for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Like we think alike, but I knew we both this one just because like the way it's framed is excellent.
I think mine might start with the one right below this.
Probably. So this one we got Batman. He's uppercutting a dude, and the dude getting uppercutted is like in the left corner.
It's a Dutch angle.
It's a Dutch angle. Yeah, his like teeth are popping out, and Batman's like head is just kind of like Dutch angling from below it, so you can see he's like smiling while punching him.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that maneuver you described
Yeah.
earlier with Robin.
Where he's flipping the guy over his shoulder.
He's flipping the guy over his shoulder just with total ease.
It looks like he's holding him by the hair too, which
Yeah.
looks really painful.
yeah.
And also the guy's teeth, they're not just like coming out, they're like shattered.
Yeah.
They're in pieces.
Yeah, he's going to have a big dental bill.
Yeah. Oh, this next one is the one that I described as them ping-ponging these guys between them with well-placed punches.
Yep.
That's exactly what's going on. They're like, they punch, there's three guys, and they're just like whack, whack, whack. And these guys are like slamming their heads together. It's really good. And then Robin's like, this is for framing my pal. And Batman's like, this is thrown in for interest. AKA, I just wanted to punch you really hard.
Yep.
Yeah. This next panel is great too. Because Batman's just running full speed ahead towards the Penguin, and he says, "Better say your prayers now, funny face." Like, what happened to not laughing at people because they were different looking?
Yeah, right?
But Batman's a little bit of a shit talker in these old comics.
He is, and at this point, you know what? Penguin is just outright villainous, so
And
why
then
not?
Penguin just one-ups him right here. He's like,
Yep.
too bad. A marvelous physique coupled with a keen brain. We could go far together.
Mhm.
He's just like, too bad you're so dumb because you're actually kind of smart and buff. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's right before he gasses him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is using his intellect to outwit the Batman.
Right. And then this next panel, this has happened 3 times in the older issues too, where Batman slams a painting over someone's face. But this one's even better because it's a painting of like 2 anthropomorphic dogs or something.
Pigs. They're pigs.
Oh, they're pigs. That makes it even better. It makes it even better. So he slams the painting over their faces and their heads pop out right where the pigs' heads were.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like stuck together. And then he's like, business before pleasure. And then he just knocks them both out like in one punch.
Yeah.
Just bam, bam, off both their heads. Good stuff.
And then, why'd you choose this next
I
one?
picked this one because this is the one where Robin rings the doorbell and then the dude opens the door and then he punches him in the face.
Okay, yeah, that's
like
pretty
that's
funny.
just comedic timing right there. Ding dong.
Yep.
Who is it? It's a telegram messenger. And here's your message. Whack. Right in the face. And then I like that guy. He's just saying like,
Yeah.
like SSSPLLFF. Like
He's out of real words.
he has no idea what was just about to happen, and he's really caught off guard. It's good stuff. And again, like the lunging punch, it's happened twice in this issue. Once Batman did it, and then this one Robin's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of lunging in this issue.
This next one is where Penguin shoots the mob leader.
Yeah, I just thought that like people get shot at and shot a lot in these comics, and it's not always impactful. But this one was, because I really did not expect Penguin to shoot that guy.
Yeah.
You know, I expected him to just like talk to him or talk him to death. But the guy's like takes his dime and he's like, "What are you gonna do?" And he's just like, "Shoot you." It's like when the Joker shoots that guy.
Yeah.
Because they're like, "Ha, what are you gonna do now?"
It's just one of those like casual like murders.
Yeah, it's like Indiana Jones again. Like when he
Yeah.
just pulls a gun out and shoots the guy.
And at this point, like you don't even know if like this guy's like gonna murder anybody. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
seem like that type of villain. But man, and if you notice, he doesn't have his hat on in the first panel,
Yeah.
and the next one he's got his hat back on. I like to imagine that it like
Same.
must have fallen off, and then he shot the guy, and then like
Picks it up and dusts it off and just
yep,
Puts it
and
back on his head.
everyone just like reeling, like what the hell?
yeah.
Yeah.
I do too. I kind of got the same thing from it. Like he shoots the guy. He's so pissed that the hat light comes off. The guy falls down dead. Puts the hat on, dusts it off, and then turns around to face everybody else. Pulls his gun umbrella back out, points it at everybody else, and then he's like, "Now I'm the boss." And they're like, "Yeah, sure, okay, yeah, that's cool.
You're the boss.
You're the boss."
Yep.
Yeah,
Let's see. I think you chose this one. We're into your panels.
yeah, we are. I just like the framing of this one. It's kind of hard to tell where it is and what exactly is happening, but from what I can grasp, like Batman is like helping Robin climb up the building. I don't know. It's one of those panels where it's shot, or like it's cool because it's like encapsulated in a circle.
In the
and
spotlight.
we always pick those panels that have the circles and the spotlights.
Yeah.
And clearly Robin's scaling a building and Batman's on top and he's pointing in some direction. But it's just kind of hard to tell like what is happening, or like I don't know.
Yeah.
I had to pick it because it's hard for me to read. Right?
And the next one, the last one.
Oh, the
is-
next one's amazing.
Yeah, speaking of circles, is
Yeah.
they're both in the circle and they're jumping out.
Yeah, I love that how he cornered them with the gun and then they just like jump out the window to get away. And Robin's jumping head first. Batman, he just like throws his cape over his face to keep the glass from going, but Robin doesn't even care.
Yep.
He just full on dives out that window.
Any final thoughts on this issue?
No, it was definitely good. Weirdly, like as much as I enjoyed it, I wouldn't place it up there at the top with like my favorite Joker issues or Public Enemy #1 or The Ugliest Man on Earth and stuff like that. Because I feel like those are kind of like on a whole nother level. But it approaches that top tier for me.
Yeah.
I would say it's right below the Joker stuff.
Yeah, it's a great introduction to classic character.
Yeah.
Which I never even thought like, what was his first story like? And like this was excellent.
Exactly what you would expect it to
Yeah.
be like, actually. So that's cool.
And this is his first story, and this is where we're gonna get into plugging what we're gonna be our next project. We're gonna be doing we're gonna be talking about Batman, the current issues, the new runs. Let me pull out the issue numbers. We're gonna be covering
I wrote them down. Detective Comics number 1062, which is 1062, and Batman number 125.
Yeah, which I think they're calling it like volume 3 now because they ended it. They ended the original run with New 52. That was volume 2, and they started it back at 0. I'm not. No, this is volume 2, I think. Yeah. Because
I haven't kept track.
Well, what they did with New 52 was they reset everything back to 0.
0 and 1.
And then at some point when they did like Rebirth, they decided to take Action Comics and
You mean
Action and Detective
Oh,
and bring
both
up
of them.
And I think maybe Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman might have got back to original like numbering, but they're putting them back to their original numbering because like why would you throw away that? So we're gonna be talking about the new stuff, which Penguin has a. It might be his final issue or his final appearance. Until they decide to revive him. So I'm going to be we're going to release that. We're going to be recording that next, and I don't know when I'll release it. Probably sometime within a couple days after.
Yeah,
it'll come out. Right?
It'll come out soon, right?
Yeah. Yep. So
TBD.
Yep. So as always, thank you so much for listening. Hit us up with a review. Talk to us on Twitter at BecomeABatPod. And this is Tom.
And Mike.
And we're signing off. Thank you.
Later.